Hi, and welcome to the SuccessPaTh show, where Christian business owners share their tips for success to show you how to succeed more effectively with your kingdom goals. I'm your host, Violet Dietrich, and I'm truly excited today because I have a special guest that has truly inspired me. Him and his wife, I've been following them for a little while, and I thought I had an awesome life, with Jesus and with what me and my husband do. But following Doug and his wife has really challenged me to live my life at a higher level. So I really appreciate that, Doug.
Oh, you're welcome. It's good to be here. Thank you, Violet.
So let me introduce you to everybody. Doug Wood and his wife, Thea, are co-founders of Valor Global Online School. And Doug is a best-selling author of Boy To Millionaire with over 20,000 copies sold in its first 6 months. And what's really cool is it's also in Spanish, de chico de iglesia a millonario, for those Spanish-speaking people out there. Doug and Thea imagine a world where people live and express the riches within rather than purely pursue the riches without, and accomplishes both while equipping people on how to level up to live their best life. Doug and Thea are in-demand speakers, and as the co-founders of Valor Global Online School, they're rewriting the education model for the world we live in today. Doug and Thea are passionate about equipping this next generation to win. Meet them where they're at, listen to them, and prepare them well to thrive in this ever-changing world. They do this by providing parent and marriage coaching, focusing on families as a whole. Most importantly, the Wood family has chosen to live differently, to be set apart from the average. When they're not traveling the world, they live in Scottsdale, Arizona at their property, Breakthrough Acres. Doug and Thea have 3 children, Amaya, Caitlin, and Phoenix. Again, thank you, Doug, so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So your book, my question that came up is, some people think that being a church boy is a good thing. So why the title? Why From Church Boy to Millionaire?
It's a great opening question, and I've gotten that, and I've received that often because as you navigate your walk with Christ, and we all come to Christ in different ways. Meaning we all find Jesus. Some of us at a very young age. For example, me, both my grandfathers were Assemblies of God pastors. I was literally born, I think, on the front row of the pew, with my dad being, an elder and a deacon in the church too. So I was just born into it, and it's all I knew. But I realized, we all come to a point in life that we do things out of obligation, or we do things out of desire. And is that what's most important to us? And I realized I went on a little bit of a walkabout, and and I think as seasons in life change, Violet, sometimes we can have a tendency of walking away from something that served us well because of 1 or 2 things that you don't like about it. So what happens is you throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. And what I started to find myself doing, years ago, was starting to throw God out with the church water just because of a few bad experiences that really, I believe everybody is always doing the best they can with the knowledge that they have. I do truly believe that people have good intentions. And so it was my journey actually back to Christ, of how, in partnership with the church, but also partnership with Christ, how I can be a marketplace minister. And I go through that pretty in detail, in how you can use your business for the kingdom. And I go through that in detail for the book.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And I'm thinking, because I went through that as well, that it was challenging to, just because there's certain things in the church arena that not to totally discount the whole church, because we need God in our lives and in our business.
But also the book is challenging to the church, because it's very important that the church of today has got to step up, and it's got to take dominion over what's going on in society today for values. And I think, also us as the church has gotten a little soft. And what I have discovered was I started to talk about the church like it was this thing that I used to be a part of, and I started distancing myself. And I'm like, no, this is my people. Only your people can call out your own people, not someone from the outside. It's like, no, nobody's going to talk bad about my church. It's like, but I'm going to stay in the church and I'm going to help us figure this thing out to educate and so people can, grow closer to Christ and not think that they need to leave the body and just do it on their own the rest of their life.
So true. And which brings me to another question. When we first spoke, I was explaining how my mission is to help those Christian business owners that are struggling and, that said, hey, where are you, God? I tried this for you. And what happened? And you said that those were your people. So why are they your people? And how did you gain this heart and passion to help them?
Yeah, well, let me back up for a second. I just want to honor you because I wouldn't be sitting here doing this interview. I don't do a lot of interviews like this. And it was because your relentless pursuit for me on Instagram DM, blowing me up. I want to have you on the show. And I reward anybody who is eager and, that doesn't quit. And you pursued me. So I'm really glad we got to be here to talk about this because I am for the people and I am for the business man or woman who is struggling because, I went off to ministry school when I was 19 years old, spent a couple of years in this internship program. And I came back home and I got right into business with my father, Violet. And it was tough. It was hard. I was kind of thrown into the deep end of the pool when I was 21 years old. And I'm thankful for that because it's made me who I am today. But I really learned that I had, in everything that I did, I had to work like it depended on myself and pray like it depended on God. And most of the time when we get in a tough situation or we start going through a hard season, we start pulling back and we're like, okay, God, when's my miracle coming? God, bail me out. And timing of God, I've resisted to ever get involved with because that's just its own animal right there. But I do know what it's like to struggle because I spent multiple years. I know what it's like to put my whole staff's payroll on my personal credit card multiple times. I know what it's like to literally, not being able to pay the rent on the lease building that I'm renting for my company, not to be able to put gas in my delivery trucks for my furniture store. So it's like I've been there, and I've also been the faithful one that was giving even when I didn't have it to give. But I also realize that there are times in seasons that sometimes we want something more than I believe our future purpose or our God might have a new season or a mandate for us. And I realized I was fighting for a breakthrough in my furniture store in 2007, 2008, 2009 that was meant to be done. And that's where the opening chapter of Boy To Millionaire starts off with. It's called It's Okay to Quit. I needed to quit on myself so I could say actually yes to what God had for me. And I was, and not that I was fighting it, but it was just like, we have these dreams where we're like, we can't give up. But what if that season is over and it's time to go and expand and God does have more, but it's hard to say yes before you can actually say no.
Yeah. And that's extremely important. And that's actually one of my biggest questions, because the gurus will tell you, try harder and grind, and you're just not doing this, or you're missing this skill set. So we're stuck in training mode because it's like, what am I missing to follow this one thing? And you're totally right. God may have something different for you.
Yeah. And you also have to ask yourself, is your business or what you're trying to create or do, is it a job? Is it for profit, or is it for purpose? And when you or I or anybody listening to this is not operating out of purpose, now I believe in profit with purpose, but profit alone, it's good, it's fine, but it will have a season to where you feel like you're sacrificing yourself or who you are for just the dollar. And when your business or your job, whoever's listening, is aligned and in alignment with your unique ability and your purpose, I tell you what, you are like in that absolute sweet spot. And yeah, it's going to still be work and it's still going to be a grind, but you're operating in your purpose. And a lot of people are just operating in profit, and they're like, why isn't this thing working? Well, get on the right side of the cross and actually get on the kingdom side. And, you can dominate your marketplace.
Yes, definitely. So the question that's coming up right now is, how does somebody find their purpose?
Okay. Well, that's a great question. I do get into that a little bit in the book. Not a little bit. I actually get in it a lot. And I have a worksheet on churchboytomillionaire.com. I have some actionable items from my book that is actually will walk you through that. So I'd rather just send people there, and it's a free download. It's a free document that I just give away, but it's a part of my book to where you can, it's a self questionnaire that you can ask yourself. But it's very similar to what I just explained. It's, do you love doing what you're doing? Are you passionate about it? And are you good at it? I believe if those three things, and number 4 is, does the world or your community or the people around you need it? If those things, those 4 are yeses, well, then I believe you should be paid for doing what you're doing. No matter what it is. If the world needs it, you love doing it, you're good at it, and you're passionate about it, figure out a way to get paid for it. If not, it's just a job. And I'm 43 years old, and I'm frustrated. It took me about 37 years to figure out that this life is not worth just living and working for a paycheck and a job. This show that you're hosting right now is there's a massive amount of purpose built in it, because the world and these Christian business owners need this.
Yes, thank you so much. And I do follow you. And what I wonder is, how do Doug and Thea do it all without getting burnt out? Because you have been doing some incredible things, traveling around the world and going in this RV and doing that project. So how does somebody follow their purpose, but also not get burned out and not lose their soul even?
Absolutely. Well, in 2008, when I was over $200,000 in debt, I was also signed on to a lease of a building that was almost $20,000 a month. I had 3 more years on that lease, and I couldn't get out of it, because if you've ever signed a lease before with commercial property, a lot of times they ask for a personal guarantee. I highly suggest, if you have never signed a lease and you ever do not attach and do not do a personal guarantee, because they're non-bankruptable and they will follow you around forever, the rest of your life. And so if someone was ever screwed and their back was against a wall, it was me. And, when I kind of discovered what I wanted to do next and to get into helping people, I realized that I had to reestablish my priorities. And there was 2 things that were not up for discussion or negotiation. And I believe everybody needs to spend a couple of years having a pecking order. And for me, it was God, family. So what that looked like was, nothing will get in the way of my faith. And you know what? The best thing I can maybe do is make it to church on Sunday morning or Saturday night. But that goes in the calendar first. Number 2 was time with my kids. Okay. And it was going to be for sure on family night. On Friday night from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. was family night. I will not take a phone call. I will not be on Facebook. I will not be Zooming. It will be family night. Okay. T and I would have a couple of special hours set aside during the week. Other than that, it was all out obsessed with creating our next business while keeping the lights on. And it's funny, we just got done with Memorial Day and everyone loved their 3-day, 4-day weekend. But some of you listening have been taking a 3 to 4 day weekend every single week, and you're wondering why things aren't changing. It's just Memorial Day. You didn't feel guilty for taking it. and that's what we sacrificed every holiday, every Saturday, every weekday. We put in 10, 12-hour days, longer than that, to actually get our finances in order. We didn't go out, and even when we started making more money, and getting our debt paid off by it, we didn't go take out new car payments. We didn't start living out of our means. We were very wise, and we stayed disciplined, and we stayed true, and we stayed lean. And then now we go God, family. Now we have more time for family. We have more time for purpose-filled things, but yet we still pay attention to what is going to add to our purpose and what's going to add to our pleasure. And we believe in living an integrated life to where all parts are feeding the main thing, which is God, which is, health, spirit, purpose, family, finances. They've all got to feed the main thing. We don't put them into siloed different areas. And so that's really how we do it all. And we might look busier than we are, but I will tell you right now, there's a couple of just non-negotiables, and you have to schedule you first, and then everything else that you will fit.
So schedule you first and have those priorities definitely.
But the difference is, Violet, yes, exactly. But some people schedule themselves first too much. It's always like, oh no, I can't do that. I'm going to a movie tomorrow. And then the next day I'm volunteering at the church and I've got commitments here. And you have to ask yourself, like, go from good to great. So when we were actually in that season of 8 and 9, Tia stopped being in charge of the women's ministry at our church. Why would you do that? That's ministry. Well, if you can't feed your own family, why are you trying to feed other people when you literally don't even, it's like on the airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself before assisting the one next to you. Some of us, our heart is so big, we want to help everybody, but we're not even helping ourselves. And so, yeah, it takes a couple of years sometimes of getting selfish and go, you know what, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to step away from being good so I can come back and not just be average, so I can be great and serve at a higher level. And now my wife, Thea, runs these massive women conferences for Kick Fear in the Face because she stepped away from being average so she could come back and do it anytime she wanted at a bigger level.
Yeah, Doug, and that's a good point, because I see a lot of family members and a lot of people in ministry that they will do that. They not only will spend a lot of time in ministry, but all of their energy goes there. And then what's left over for their family.
Right. Or themselves.
That's
why you also see a lot of, and I'm going to probably step on some toes here, but that's why you see a lot of overweight Christians. Is because, they can point the fingers out at everything else. And I was one of them, how then we laugh and then we go to the buffet and think it's funny and cool to be overweight. And you know what? It's hard to get respect when you're extremely overweight. And I was 70 pounds heavier than I am today. And I had to get my health in congruence. And, because I was not taking care of myself and I was not making my own temple a priority. And so then I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute, but then I'm always praying for healing. The same people always praying for healing are the same people that are eating too many Big Macs at McDonald's. It's like, well, you're in a vicious cycle. God can only do so much when we're not being good stewards of ourselves. Anyway.
No, thank you. Yes, that's what my husband and I have been preaching, because I could barely function and I was thin, but I had to make some huge health changes. So
yes,
how do we get our brethren to, because churches, they serve donuts sometimes in the
I know, right,
at services. So how can we make a dent in those people that, and they may even say it, but then they don't do it. They don't take their health seriously.
Well, the speed of the leader is the speed of the team. And, it starts with leading ourselves. And we want other people to follow. We can't preach it. We have to do it and live it. And then I guess some people want to start preaching it, they can. But really, you have to do it yourself. And so I myself, I visit a lot of different churches, especially when I'm on the road, because Tia and I were just church blood is through and through us. And we love to visit a lot of different churches. And I'm telling you right now, when your health is in order, it is hard to listen to somebody when they are that far out of congruence. And Tia and I will not visit a church. We can't even hear the message when it's very clear a massive area is out of alignment. And it starts with the pastor. It starts with the leader. And those of you listening right now might not be the pastor, but you are a leader. Otherwise you wouldn't be on here. You want your kids to start eating healthy? You start eating healthy. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I believe a donut once in a while is a good thing, but you can tell the difference between the people making it a way of life, a lifestyle of it for the good, or I would say even the bad. But you want to light your business on fire. Christian businessmen and women, listen to this. You want to light your business on fire, get your physical health in order. everything changes. When I lost 70 pounds years ago, Violet, my spirit man came back alive. People even said to me, like, Doug, your eyes are smiling. Like, what's gotten into you? I'm like, actually, it's what's gotten out of me.
Yeah.
In my business, even my current business that wasn't doing so well, it started performing at a higher level because I was performing at a higher level. That's a big non-negotiable for me. I have a whole chapter in my book. It's chapter 25. It's the last chapter. And Violet, it's called What You Eat in Private, You Wear in Public. And it's all about the secrets of our health. And also, some of you might like, there's a section in there called the 10 zones of health. And we're all in either zone 1 through 10, and usually we're bouncing between a few of them. But it really addresses that as part of, you know, being a good stewards of our bodies.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. So going back a little bit, you were saying that sometimes God may have a different season for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have to let that go.
Yeah.
But what's the difference between, oh, I'm going to have to totally change direction, or, you know, oh, there's a little obstacle or hurdle that came along, and how would you overcome those hurdles?
Well, I believe it starts with most of us identity, and this world right now that we're living in is trying to put an identity on everybody at a very young age. You are this. You are red, you are Republican, you are Democrat. Or parents do that to their kids too. This is what we are. And what happens is we take on these identities. I am Assemblies of God. I am Baptist. Okay. I can't find that one in the Bible. So we get these identities. I would say a lot of them are great. Okay. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I love that identity. But we also pick up identities of things people prophesy over us or tell us that we're going to be. And people told me, Doug, you are going to own a furniture store just like your father. My dad wanted that for me. So guess what? I got into the furniture business with my father, and I wanted to take on his legacy. There's sometimes family business guilt. Sometimes we go to college because we were 19 years old and we made I think I'm going to be get my bachelor's in X. And so we pay on it, and we're still paying on it. We're 43 years old. We're still paying on these college loans. We've got a plaque on our wall. That plaque's not a degree, by the way. Just for the record, I don't have a degree. But I coach a lot of people that struggle with this. They got that plaque that says right there that they paid $60,000 for. They still owe $40,000 on it. They're working for what that plaque gave them in a job that they hate. And I'm like, why are you doing what you do? Well, I have a degree. Okay. You got to give me more material than that. Why are you doing what you do? Well, it's what I went to school for. Okay. And what happens is they don't even know why they're they just made a decision 22 years ago. And now they feel like because they're paying on it, they need to continue doing it. Nothing wrong with this wiping the slate clean and going, what am I good at? What am I passionate about? What do I want to do? If you're 43 years old, you've got 40 really, really amazing years left in you. And now that you know what you know, you can go change the world the next 40 years and build a multi-million or billion-dollar business. Like the best businesses in the world, Violet, are not even created yet. In fact, I don't even know if they're thought up. And we feel like, oh man, I'm struggling. I've got to be this. And so I just encourage people to wipe the slate clean and start creating their life with a clean slate. Now, it may take 5-7 years to start building this, but don't keep feeding, the feeder or the degree of something that you hate.
Right. Yes. Wow. So you're hitting a lot of points that people go through, and I see that's another common thing that I see a lot. Yeah. So Doug, we want to make sure that people follow you because, wow, you just bring such wisdom and you challenge people, which, I'm so happy that you got on your soapbox and addressed those issues that other people wouldn't address. So I know you're on Instagram. Yes. Is that where people can follow you?
Yeah, it's probably the best place. I'm most active on there. I'm also on Facebook. I have a like page, Doug Wood, and then also a personal page. But I'd say Instagram is where I put out most of my material. If you follow me on my stories in there, I'm storying. I show my day-to-day, my world, my life, my ups, my downs. I'm not a cookie cutter Instagrammer. I'm going to show the real behind the scenes, the hard stuff too, because that's important. Because we're all, no matter how much money you have, you still go through hard. You're still being tested. You're still being challenged. Otherwise, you're going backwards. And so, yeah, that's probably the best place to do that.
Okay, great. So Instagram, it's the real Doug Wood.
Yes.
And Doug, I know that on your website, it says that you were on the brink of suicide. So you can understand those people that are super depressed right now may also be in that situation as Christian business owners. So what would you say? What are some final words that you can say of encouragement to them? Or what is Holy Spirit telling you to share?
Don't quit. Whatever you do, do not quit. The end is not the end. Okay. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to feel like this is the only way out. And if you read in my book, I know what it's like to say, if I wasn't here, I could, my kids and my wife could get my $1 million insurance policy, and that would take care of them, and they're better off without me. All this negative self-talk starts to go through. And I tell you what, you got to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm taking my power back. It is my season. It may not be easy, but here's the next thing is you can't do it alone. Get yourself plugged into a church, reach out. Mental health is real. We've got to be more honest about it. We've got to talk about this publicly. If you go listen to my podcast, it's called the Doug Unplugged Podcast. It's on iTunes. I talk about all these ups and downs. Okay. Plug into that. Let me encourage you each week. There's probably 75 episodes on there right now, but I usually add one every 10 days or so. But get yourself in community, get yourself around other people, and it's never worth quitting. It's not. There's so much. If I could have told you 10 years ago where my life is at now, I would have never even imagined. But I thought that was the only way out, Violet.
Well, I'm glad you lived, Doug.
Yeah.
And your life is inspiring so many people.
Yeah.
So follow Doug on Instagram, The Real Doug Wood. Go make sure to follow his podcast as well. We'll put all the links down in the description, and also the link for that assessment that he was talking about. And so appreciate having you here, Doug, even though it was hard work.
No, I love it. I'm glad we made this happen. And anything I can do to help, just Violet knows if you DM me enough, I will get back to you, and love to help where I can.
Awesome. Appreciate it. And to you watching, thank you so much for being here. Put your biggest takeaway down in the comments, and also subscribe. And if you go ahead and share it. Sharing is caring. We appreciate you being here. We love you, and we'll see you on the next episode.